Hello and welcome to the fourth video in my uni crash course. Today we're finally going to be talking about what uni is actually all about, learning. I'm doing English literature, so my perception and idea of learning is all coming from a very humanities viewpoint, but I will try and make this as general as possible and I hope that it will be helpful to anyone. The change to uni is quite a big one in terms of the academics and the learning style, and I will say it's harder. Not necessarily the content and what you're learning, but it's more that you have to be much more independent. You can't really expect things to be spelled out so much for you in terms of like what you have to learn and when. You kind of have to do a lot of your own reading and research. And in terms of reading, I don't know really why I'm bothering to say this to you because you're not going to, but at least then I can say I've told you so. Get ahead of the reading. If you're doing a course that requires a lot of reading, say English or history, you will really start to suffer if you haven't got ahead. Honestly, you will really thank yourself. As I said before, university is much more independent and it's about finding your own way of learning. And there's not really a quick fix to this. If you haven't worked out your style of learning during GCSEs or A-levels, then it's going to be a case of trial and error. If you're finding that you can't get the information in your head, don't persistently keep trying to do one method. I would say keep trying lots of different things because you might find a technique that works much better for you. The other thing about uni is that you're going to have to get your own books a lot more than at school. And once again, I am here with those money-saving tactics. Number one, bookfinder.com. This is better than using something like Amazon because it searches all databases of all book-selling websites and it will find you the cheapest, whether that be secondhand or a new book. Ex-students often sell their books at the university because they no longer need them. So if you don't want to get all your books before you go to university, when you arrive, look out for any book sales that are happening, particularly within the department, and then you can pick up some books from old students and they might even have little scribbled notes in that could prove in handy. And the third way, I don't know how it would work for textbooks. It would probably work better for normal books, but it might be worth a try with the textbooks. Local secondhand bookshops, as in local to the university, because when students leave, they sometimes go to a bookshop near their university and just dump all of the books that they ever used, which is great because then it becomes a little gold mine for your specific course at your specific uni. My friend did this and she basically picked up her entire first year set texts just by going to one bookshop. So let's talk about lectures. Lots of people sitting in a room listening to a person talk at you. The main thing I'd say about lectures is be prepared for the fact they're not going to be as interactive as typical school classes. I really struggled in my first term because I was basically falling asleep in all of my lectures, to the point where I nearly went to the doctors about it because in every single lecture, no matter how interesting I found it, I was just like, and I don't know why, but my theory is that basically the lectures weren't quite as interactive and it was just someone talking at me. I was expected to just absorb it. Even if I found the topic interesting, it was kind of not as engaging. Unfortunately, I didn't find a solution to this. I don't know what to suggest if this happens to you. For me, it seemed to fix itself in second term. I just suddenly didn't find it a problem. But just be aware, lectures might not be quite as engaging. Now, for lectures, you can either take a computer or you can write in a book. Personally, I take hand notes and I'm able to scribble anywhere on the page. I'm able to link ideas. I just find it a very versatile way of taking notes. It also means that I'm not relying on technology that has to be charged and has to be working. But of course, if you only have handwritten notes, it means that you don't have a backup. All I would say is that I think I've read studies that say that handwriting notes engages the brain more, so you're more likely to absorb what you're listening to. But as I said, it's totally up to you and totally up to what you find convenient. The other thing with lectures is I would say talk to older students about what lectures are entirely necessary. That said, personally, I go to every single lecture I can because I'm paying for this shit. I want to get my money's worth. Next up is seminars. They are basically smaller classes. They're a bit more like a traditional school classroom. Personal help based or discussion based or like working on a particular task or project. And the main thing I would say is don't be afraid of them. I find them the best chance to learn the most from a variety of sources. And therefore, don't be afraid to speak up and don't be afraid to be wrong. Saying stupid things occasionally can be the most effective way of learning. And the other thing I would say is do the reading. If you haven't done the reading, then you look like an idiot. So just save yourself the embarrassment. Take it from me. from someone who hadn't done the reading and had to bullshit my way through. And finally, the thing that everyone is most worried about is exams. Again, it depends on the course, but you probably won't need to think about the exams until the end of the year in the summer. Don't panic about them at the beginning of the year and just enjoy the course, enjoy learning before you start worrying about exams. But do keep an eye on how the exams are structured and what appears in the exams, because you don't want to spend a load of time revising a topic that doesn't actually get tested on. I'm going to talk about this more in tomorrow's video on mental health, but especially in first year, just don't stress about exams, because I think most courses first year doesn't count as much towards your degree. My first year didn't count anything towards my degree. It was just like a warm-up. Now that's a little bit unusual. It would be very unlikely for the first year to be a third of your degree. That's in Britain. I don't know about other countries. But at the end of the day, you are more important than the exams. Also, universities are surprisingly flexible. I've got friends who didn't do their exams, so they did them as coursework over the summer. If you are struggling, talk to someone, because it's amazing what they can arrange for you. But most of all, exams are 9 months away, so seriously, don't think about exams. So that is everything I have to say about academic tips and tricks for uni. If you have any questions, then leave them in a comment or tweet me with the hashtag UniCrashCourse. And I will be doing a big Q&A at the end of the 7 days, answering all of your questions. Thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow.